All right, let's take, we're done with that segment. Now we're going back. He will go back to the folly of idolatry. Arabic number 5 in the center of your page, chapter 44, verses 6 to 23, and this is subdivided in A, B, C, and D. So that's what we take now. Let me make a few comments here. Once again, we see God going on his rampage against idolatry. He definitely doesn't like idolatry. And basically, he compares himself with the stupidity of it. And in 2 weeks down the road, we will see a Hebrew sarcasm and so on. We will see that in chapter 44. So, lowercase a, parenthetical, the superiority of Jehovah, verses 6, 7, and 8. Come with me. Thus says Jehovah, the King of Israel, and his Redeemer, Jehovah of hosts. I am the first and I am the last, circle that, and there is no God besides me. Who is like me? Let him proclaim and declare it. Yes, let him recount it to me in order, from the time that I established the ancient nation, and let them declare to them the things that are coming and the events that are going to take place. Do not tremble and do not be afraid. Have I not long since announced to you and declared it? And you are my witnesses, circle my witnesses. Is there any God besides me? Or is there any other rock, circle other rock? I know of none. In verse 6, 3 things that I would like to tell you before we go home tonight. In verse 6, he is the God of eternity. Thus says Jehovah, King of Israel, and his Redeemer, the Lord of hosts, I am the first and the last. There is no God beside me. Circle carefully, I am the first and the last. He is of course, from the beginning of human history. Way before that also, but let's keep it human center. He is there from the beginning of human history. And he will be there also until the last time of human history. Vicky, would you mind closing the door, sister? Thank you, sister. Now we will see, I'm going to give you the scriptures in a moment. 3 times in Isaiah, God calls himself the first and the last. That's why number 3 and 7 in the Bible are always significant as sign of completeness. He does it in 41:4, chapter 41, verse 4. I am the first and the last. He does it in chapter 44, verse 6, which is right here. And in chapter 48:12, 3 times we will see the same expression. When we will get to the final segment of this section, on page 22, would you like to go on page 22 of your outline? Go there. I'm going to show you something. When we will get to the final segment, which is capital C, that her iniquity is pardoned.
What page?
22. Page 22 of 27. The key personality in these chapters from 49 to 27 will be the Messiah, the servant of Jehovah, the suffering servant. The key personality in 49 to 57 will be Israel, my servant, and in this case will not be the nation as a whole. It will not be the doctrine of the remnant, but it will be the Messiah as the suffering servant. And guess what? In the book of Revelation, given by John the Apostle, the Messiah is seen in the book of Revelation no longer as the suffering servant, but as the glorified Son of God. And 3 times in the book of Revelation, you have the expression, I am the first and the last. And it becomes significant because the person, I am the first and the last of the book of Revelation, is the same person as the Messiah, the suffering servant of chapters 49 to 57. You find that same expression in Revelation chapter 1 verse 17, chapter 2 verse 8, and chapter 22 verse 13. And what is very interesting, make a note of this, when we get into a passage in chapter 48 of Isaiah, we will get to a passage in chapter 48 of Isaiah which is the clearest statement on triunity in the Old Testament. We will come to a passage where you get the clearest statement and you will see the Trinity clear in the Old Testament. And we will see how it relates to Christ in particular, as it will be fulfilled in the Revelation. That was my first point out of 3 things. So what was the first point? He is the God of eternity. And I always say the same thing. I'm preparing a message for the month of April right now because I will be done with the doctrine of man. This is not on my notes. And because we have studied the doctrine of man here, what we are exactly, all the facets of it. And then we'll get on to a study character of Peter through the gospel. And then after studying Peter as a study character throughout the 4 gospels account, we will get into what he wrote, 1st and 2nd Peter. So we're booked for 2 years, basically. Okay? Really, we're booked for about 2 years for sure. And it's kind of fun because we will see in the first message eye contact twice with Peter. I'm not giving you the message right now. And I'm making note. I have a file and it's full of kind of a scratch paper, note, because I don't want to lose my train of thought. Sometimes I have it in the shower. So I say to a guy, put a sticker in the window so that I may remember what to say, because after the shower I don't remember. And he makes eye contact, because Jesus will be there as the God-man. And think about it. There was eye contact twice, more than this, but written in a specific place. It's eye contact with Jehovah. It's eye contact with Jehovah. That kind of stuff is just, I just drop everything on my place and I just go in circle, turn the coffee on. I don't even crave for a coffee, but I need to do something. That's the kind of stuff that I really thought about. That's an eye contact with Jehovah. When he was chosen, God looked upon him. Peter, Shimon, you will be called Petros, Cephas, come with us. Not Peter looking upon him looking upon Peter. Hello, Peter. Now on, you're going to be called Cephas and Peter. Do you think that in his deity he did not know that 3 times? I never knew this man. I never around. No, I never know this man. I swear. He looked upon Peter. No, we wait 2 weeks. You need to listen to. This is my son. This is my daughters in whom I am well pleased. Listen to them. I'm just putting your leg. Those on the camera, you cannot get the joke because you watch on YouTube. You need to be here, beloved, here. Number 2, verse 7. Number 2, verse 7. Who is like me? Let him proclaim and declare it. Yes, let him recount it to me in order, please. From the time that I established the ancient nation, let them declare to them the things that are coming and the events that are going to take place. In verse 7, he is the God of history. He is the God of history. He is the one controlling the events of history. He is the one like this. Look what I will do. I hope I won't do a mess. Russia, Ukraine. Hey, Vladimir, go. Go. And then we don't know what after that. There will be something else over there. And everything moves on the table in order to pave the way to what he has declared and to bring about the one world government. Steers the heart. Go. Take the territory. It's very important to you, by the way. Take it. It's whatever. He is the God of history. And what will come to pass, no idols can do it. I will say it's demon-driven. It's not an issue. It might be Vladimir Putin, that whether you like it or not, it's not the issue. It's the issue that Adolf Hitler, yes, he was demonly driven, but who is sovereign over all things?
God.
That's it. He is the God of history. Number 3. Third point. Don't tremble and do not be afraid. The point is idolatry here. No idols can say that. Don't tremble and do not be afraid. Have I not long since announced it to you and declare it? And you are my witnesses. Is there any God beside me, or is there any rock? I know of nothing. He is the God of prophecy. And all the major events that took place, he predicted it in advance, and Israel witnessed those predictions. And they don't wake up. Talk to these guys, the Hasidim at the wall that you see behind you. You look at it, you've seen the photo, Micaiah. Ask them to teach you something about the Babylonian captivity. Do you think they know about it? Do you think that they know about the liberation from Egypt type of thing? Do you think that they don't know the time of the judges, Samuel and Gideons and all these guys? They are the witnesses. They don't see the truth, but they are the witnesses as a nation. Not the idol. Okay? So Jehovah is the rock, and so is the Messiah. Go back to your notes on that. I will stop right there. Go back to your notes in chapter 26, verse 4. Anytime that you see a rock used symbolically, the word rock used as a symbol, it's always the second person of the triune God, Christ Jesus. The little rock of Daniel chapter 2 that hit the statue. So that's why he said here, is there any other rock? I know of none. Moses struck the rock. The rock symbolizes Christ. What did he sin on the second time? He struck the rock, and then he got angry with the congregation, and he struck it twice.
Wasn't he supposed to speak to the rock?
He was asked to speak to the rock. But what did he do instead? He struck it twice. What is meaning? I'm going to get crucified only once, not twice, Moses. You struck the rock once, I died, and then you speak to me. You don't struck the rock twice. The striking of the rock means the resurrection. Then he asked the second time, speak to the rock and there will be water. Oh, I gave my life again to Christ. I become a Christian again. There is no such a thing. Roman Catholicism, they crucify Christ anew. And it's not nail that he had for Roman Catholicism, it's Velcro. Because every Sunday they re-crucify Christ all the time. You strike the rock once, and that's why Moses, you struck me twice, you're not going to see the land. And basically, when you read the history of Israel, I think having died before his time, I cannot call it a blessing, but didn't see the mess that they did though. He never saw the Mishnah coming up because he would not even recognize his own law with the Sophrim, the Tanaim, and the Amoraim. What's that? I never gave that. We fell asleep before. I would have said thank you. You can be sure that you will fellowship with Moses in the Messianic kingdom. The futility of idolatry next in 2 weeks' time. Enjoy your time. Let me finish this. I will pray.